Hey guys, and welcome to the fourth in the series of designing a WordPress theme. Now, I'm doing this series only because people asked for it. Lots of people have asked me, Tom, how do you design a WordPress theme? Can you talk us through it? And there's so much to it that I decided I would have to make an entire series about it. What makes this unique is we're going to develop my personal theme, or we are developing my personal theme for use on my personal site. Now, these videos get incredibly long. The last video topped it all, and it was an hour and 20 minutes. So if you haven't seen the other videos, be prepared for a long one. And I just wait for a natural break in what we're doing, and then I stop the video. So with that said, I'm going to dive into what we were doing at the end of the last series. I'm not, like I said in all these videos, I'm not going to go over what we did in the last video because it will take too long. So if you haven't watched the last video, please, or the other videos in the series, please watch them in order, because I'm not going to go over anything I've previously been over. So with that said, let's continue on. If you remember last time, we started styling the comment system of our site. And if you look at this, we've outputted the content, but if we look, if we look in the list item, we've got our date and our time, which we specified, but the actual content of the comment isn't wrapped in anything, so it looks kind of jumbled and awkward. So we're gonna alter that. So if we open up Coda, going down our mass files here, we're just gonna put a paragraph element around the content of the actual comment itself. I'm also actually I'm gonna put a strong element round the commenter, because I think that's kind of some semantically important to a comment. So instead of just an anchor link, it's going to be bold, which is going to visually separate it out a bit, but it's also going to make it, in my opinion, more semantic. So we're going to add that as well. And then also for the non-website situation. So it just separates it out a bit, gives it a bit more separation. And now we would appear to have the number 0, so we're just going to figure out where that's come from. I don't see what's causing. Oh, I know. We didn't close our paragraph element properly that we put around the we put around the comments. We're gonna save that again and refresh. And it would still appear that we've got issues. I don't understand what's happening there. For now though, we're just gonna save that and move on to another file that we edited before. We're gonna edit our index.php file. Remember that's the page that controls our sorry, I got confused. The next thing we're gonna do is style the site up a bit, make it look a bit nicer. So I'm gonna go into our style sheet and just change a few things up. For one thing, I'm gonna set the time, the actual time element, to be a little bit smaller than the rest of the text, and this is the time that someone posted a comment. I'm gonna make it font size 12 pixels. We're just going to put font. That's easier because we're specifying one or more properties. It 12 pixels italic to make it a little bit smaller and fit it in a bit easier. What have we done now, I wonder? Well, for one thing, we're gonna go back into our index.php file and get rid of our custom comments div that we added in there, which is escaping me at the moment, but I'll find it here. Another thing I want to do is at the moment that comment date function is outputting the date and the time down to the second. I just wanted to output the date. So to achieve that, what we're gonna do is change it up a bit slightly. We're gonna use a custom PHP function to split apart the two strings and achieve the result we want, because there isn't a WordPress function for splitting the date. So we're gonna start our PHP. We're gonna create a variable called comment. And get mixed up in PHP variable, which you don't do that, you use an underscore. A variable called comment posted, and that's going to be equal to the explode function. And explode means split two strings apart. So first you need to define a separator. So I just want the date, and if we look back here and look at the way, if we can I don't understand what's going on here, guys. I'm going to pause the video and come back when I've worked it out. So I'm back and I've got the problems resolved. It was just mainly some syntax errors, like I forgot the closing brace off the strong tag, and I also instead of putting content underscore comment underscore content like it is now, I put comment dash content, which was why the field wasn't showing up. I've also made some changes in the CSS to make the time a little bit smaller and to italicize it. So that's what these are here. So this is largely what I wanted the comments to look like, but there are still a few issues. Mainly this date format here. This is how WordPress does it, and to my knowledge, there's no way to change what's output, but we can change what's output using PHP. So here's how. If we go back and draw our comments folder, instead of just printing out the comment date outright, what we're going to do is start a PHP. We're gonna create a variable called posted date or something like that, or posted time. I'm going to make it equal to this value, except it's going to be within another function, so it's going to be equal to that. We're going to cut that and paste it in there. So it's going to be equal to explode, and explode is a word in PHP, just means split two strings apart. So we want to explode, so you need to give the separator the string and the integer limit. So to do this, you have to look at the two things you want to separate and see what's always in between them that PHP can use to separate. It can be any character, but in our case, we're lucky that there's a space between the time and the date, so we can use that to split the value into two and only get the bit that we want. So let's do that. So the first thing we need to tell it is what the separator is, so what be equal to. So we're just gonna make it equal to a space. The next thing is what the value is. That's gonna be the value that we got from WordPress. And
it's 16 hours.
The next thing is what the limit is. This isn't that important because there is only gonna be two strings, but we might as well just put the limit as 2, so it only ever gets 2. And then we're going to close off our PHP. So the result of that is going to be posted date, because that's what we set it to. You can't just outright view the result of an explode function like you can with many other functions, because what it does is it creates an array. So you have to specify what part of the array you want. Now, in our case, our array's the first thing, and there's two things. So you default you put 1, but you actually put 0, because in programming speak, 0 is always the start and it's always the first value. So we're gonna save that, come back, and we should have got rid of our time. And we have. So no WordPress stuff there, just general theming stuff. And I happen to think that looks a lot cleaner. There's one last thing we need to do with the comments, and that is enable the ability for replying to comments, because that's how blogs work. That's how people communicate on blogs. So so we need to go back, and it's going to be for each individual comment. So it's going to be put somewhere in our for each loop, but we need to figure out what function we need to use to output it. I'm not seeing it at the moment, so we'll just leave that for now, and go on to the next area that we're going to customize, and that is heavily CSS based. I said there'd be a lot of jumping around between HTML and PHP and CSS. So we're gonna start that now, and it is gonna be styling the nav menu. So let's get after that. I'm actually gonna open up CSS Edit again, so we can edit the CSS and see the results right in the browser. So edit the CSS. So this is a nav element in the HTML5. We may have to change that, but for now it's a nav element. So we're gonna attach all our style sheets to that, all our calls to that. So our menu, sorry, it's not a nav element. It's just a div with an ID menu. So all our elements are within the menu div. It's got another list within it. So it's got list items within that. And within that there are anchor tags. And that's where this stuff itself is. So we're gonna start off by increasing the font size to be 16 pixels. I'm going to try increasing it again, see if I can get something a bit nicer. And we're going to separate them out a bit. So for now, I'm just going to add I'm going to increase the amount of padding. That looks good. And now we're going to get on to styling our title. So I'll put it just above the menu. Each one is not gonna, so the header is not gonna have a underline. That looks good. It's gonna be font. Size. Of 40 pixels. And this kind of styling stuff might change throughout the course as we kind of decide on some better ideas, but for now I'm just gonna do some general styling. I'm gonna say define a custom font weight. That looks good. And we will leave that there for now. So we're gonna copy that across. I feel like we also need to figure out why the title, because it's on a single article page, is outputting as a link, because it links to itself, so there's no point having a link. And we've also got this weird kind of double border thing, so we're going to work that out as well. I'm going to go back into single.php file, because remember, that's what outputs single post. And we do indeed have it outputting as a link. So I'm just going to get rid of that, because we don't need that on the a page for single post. Also, I've just noticed this stray comments div that's not being used for anything, because we're now inputting the comments template that I didn't think we were going to be doing to start off with. So we can just leave that. So we don't need a comments div in this file. we're gonna save that and refresh. This is now not a link, so I feel like that fits a lot better. The next thing we're going to deal with is we're going to change up a bit this CSS for links, because at the moment we have links underlined, but then we add a weird double border when we've got two borders. So let's work out where that's coming from. So we've got the general A settings here. So I'm just gonna get rid of that bottom border. And add a background. EEEDDD. And I think that looks a lot nicer as a hover style than the previous one did. I've also just noticed that the links that are not the title, the authors that haven't put links names are displaying a little differently. So let's see if we can combat that. Back into our comments file. So we can see we have indeed got a strong element around the link, but we've only got a P element around the non-commented author name. So non-linked author name. So we're just gonna put strong. And then strong. So now the only thing that separates the two things from a visual perspective is the underline, and that signifies the links. So that's a good thing. What should we do next? I think we should start styling up this sidebar. For one thing, I know I want it to have a background colour. I'm gonna start in a new area just for our sidebar. So we go down here. Info, background, DDD, and that is just because I decided early on that was the kind of highlight colour I was going to use in the colour scheme. So that's why I'm using it so much. Um, so I think the reason why it's not showing the colour is because there's nothing in the sidebar at the moment. But let's test that theory and put something in there. So you can just do a sidebar two ways in WordPress. You can hard code it, which is what we're going to do, or you can take advantage of the WordPress widgetized interface. There's some code you can just put in your sidebar file to WordPress this interface that can accept widgets. You also have to have a functions.php file which opens up whole can of worms. So I'm not gonna cover that. But if you want to do it that way, there is some easy code you can copy. So just to test whether it works or not, each element in our sidebar is going to be wrapped around div with a cluster block, because I'm gonna do some styling. That's so I can be similar to Drupal, because that's what it means. So it's going to be div with a cluster block, and inside that div, just as test, we're going to say PHP WP archives, and that should get a list of all the archives of all posts on the blog. And let's save that and refresh. Nothing changed, so let's figure out what we did wrong. WP get archives. So let's do a search. For archives, and you can actually do a separate template for archive pages, but we're not going to do that. So what have we done wrong there? We're adding an accurate statement just to make sure. Come back over here and refresh. Still nothing. We're gonna open up Firebug and check that we actually have our archive data in place. And we it would appear that our sidebar is not even getting included, which is slightly bizarre. Single.php. No, the get sidebar functions there. It should be working. Interesting. Let's move on and start something else. For one thing, we're gonna I want a navigation on the top and navigation on the bottoms, so it's easier for users to get to. So we're gonna chuck this WP page menu also into our footer file in our footer itself. So our footer will finally have some content. Additionally to that, I'm also going to add into the footer a copyright symbol. I think there's a new tag in HTML5 specifically for doing this. I'll look that up later. For now, we'll just put it in a paragraph tag. To properly print out a copyright symbol in HTML, you do and copy colon. (2011) Tom Rogers. So our footer should now have some content. and indeed it does. Oh, there's our archives. They were printing out, but our layout's just messed up. So let's rectify that. Let's figure out where things have gone wrong. This is a great use of Firebug just to nudge things around. We're going to just change the percentage value of our
It's 16:30.
aside. I'm going to decrease the main content area slightly in size. I reckon we'll have it at 65%. Just check that. Now there's something else funky going on here. I'm just gonna try something. Just block. Let's see if that helps us. Oh, it's actually. I understand now. It's actually put the sidebar inside of the main content area. If you can see that. So we've got. We've got our sidebar, and if you look at the layout, it's inside of the main content area. So let's figure out why that has occurred. For one thing, we're going to check our single note PHP file yet again. So we open. What we're going to do is put a closing div before after our comments template, but before we close our sidebar before we get our sidebar. So what we're actually doing with this is we're closing the main content div because we opened it in the head section, and previously we didn't close it to the footer, so we're now going to have to add it also to our index. A closing div after the content, but before the sidebar. Which means we can now take what is now become a redundant div out from inside of our footer file, because it's now in the individual template files rather than in our footer file, to allow for the sidebar. And we've now got complete carnage, so let's try and figure out why that is. I'm just going to pause the video while I try and work this out. Okay, so I fixed the issue. I'm back. Well, what actually happened was I spelled the closing aside tag wrong, so the sidebar wasn't closing, and it consequently it wasn't seeing the footer properly. Anyway, now that we've got the sidebar working, that's thrown up its own problems, so we need to resolve those. For one thing, these bullets are outside of the sidebar area, so that's something we need to resolve. And we can do that in CSS. So, if we look where the stuff for the sidebar is, so we can just go info. Oh no, actually we'll just change our reset to accommodate it, because it should do anyway. We've got list style inside on the UL element, but we need to add it to the li element, so each individual item won't have a bullet. Let's try that and see. Yeah, that's got us fixed. We're now inside of the sidebar. Let's add some more content to this. For one thing, let's put in.
It's 17 hours.
a title. Sidebar. Inside of my div class block, we're not only going to have the actual archives themselves, but we're also going to have a H3 element with a name like browse the records. We'll do a few things that will make it a little bit smaller than it is by default. Well, for one thing, we want that margin for it, so I'm gonna add it to encompass in the reset, but independently to everything else we're gonna say. Any H3 inside the info is gonna have these properties. We're gonna make it smaller than it normally is, so I'm gonna have font size 20 pixels. Text transform uppercase. That looks good. I think we'll add some I think what we'll because now we're getting issues with this margin padding on the body element, on the wrapper element, sorry. The first thing we're gonna do is give I'm gonna make a new declaration. Anything inside the sidebar of the class block. Remember we wrapped it in a div with class block. It's gonna have a bottom border border bottom, 1 pix, solid. Actually, we'll make it grey. So we've now got a declaration of where one item ends and the other one begins. I'm not sure why these elements are all so uppercase, but let's figure it out. I targeted anything in the info element. What I meant to put was info h3, so just target the headings. Come back over and refresh, and we're back. We're back to where we wanted to be. So, we've come a tremendously long way, really. I think. That's an example of what one post looks like. There's a lot more to work through, but we've come a really long way. So, thank you for watching this video, guys. Leave your comments down below. Hope you've got something out of it, and tune in for the next one. Thank you. If you want to see this theme in action, if you want to just check out some general tech content, be sure to visit my website down below at tom-rogers.com. Thanks for watching.